And we're gonna analyze the sentence.
Don't fail us.
Please.
So, look, I've warned them, they don't listen, the paella...
Don't worry about the next thing. Tell me about your family. How's your family?
47. Look, my daughter Ivanka, I'm sure you've seen her, she's a model. Look, I've noticed her. Look, if I wasn't her father, I would date her. That's all I'm saying.
Glad I'm not her. How you feeling about our current president?
Oh yeah, Barack Obama's, yeah. Look, an extremely credible source has called my office and told me that Barack Obama's birth certificate is a fraud.
Let's analyze that sentence. Okay, Trump, let's analyze that sentence. What was the sentence type?
It was look, it was quite clearly a declarative sentence. I was stating something, declaring even. I was declaring something. That's declarative, you know.
Makes sense. What about the sentence structure?
It was actually, look, I was thinking about this as I said it. It's quite interesting. A compound sentence is linked by you know, a coordinating conjunction. I mean, it's quite obvious really, but and the coordinating conjunction just links the two independent clauses. Easy stuff.
Okay, Trump, let's talk about some of the key lexemes. The phrase, extremely credible source. What's in that?
First off, phrase. I think you mean noun phrase. It is in fact a noun phrase. Now, if we break it down a bit, extremely credible source obviously the noun. Then we have extremely and credible. Credible is the adjective describing the noun, and extremely is the adverb describing the adjective describing the noun. You know, and there's a couple ways you can tell it's an adverb. The main one, morphologically, you have extreme and you have ly. Extreme would just be a normal adjective, but because of this bound suffix you have on the end here, it can't function independently. Ly. It then makes it an adverb describing the word credible, which is an adjective. Morphologically breaks down to cred, which is, you know, from the word derived from credit, obviously, and then we have a bull at the end, which makes it this adjective also a bound morpheme. You know, then moving on to source, to common, concrete noun. You know, morphologically it's just a single morpheme, no breaking down to do there. And that's really what that little phrase breaks down to.
Alright, Trump, let's talk about the etymology of those lexemes.
I enjoy a bit of etymology.
Let's start with extreme.
Look, the word extreme comes from the Old French extreme, 13th century, I believe. The Latin, I think the original Latin was extremus.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and it meant furthest most point, kind of. Yeah.
Two extremes. Let's move on to credible.
Yes. From the Latin credibilus meant to be believed. You know, very 14th century.
To be credible.
Credibilus, to be credible.
Now let's do the word source.
Look, the word source, etymologically speaking, derived from mid-14th century French, I believe. The French word was source, but you know how we use a C, like at the end? Oh, they used an S, so like, source, yeah. The original meaning was almost like our equivalent of a support base. 12th century can be traced back to the 12th century, a rising, beginning fountainhead of a river stream. There we go. Yeah, of a river stream. So really, it's interesting how it's transformed through the 12th century to the 14th century, and then just nothing up until we still use it. Yeah.
For the next lexeme, Trump, let's talk about called. So what word class is called?
Called. is in fact a verb. It's quite interesting in that the word to precede it has called makes the that then equates to the past participle. Called is actually the past participle of the verb to call.
Okay. So morphologically, what's going on with the word?
Morphologically, that ed at the end, that suffix, very common, see it in a lot of words, a lot of verbs. What it does is it changes the verb to call to the past participle form of the verb to call. So then when you put has, the auxiliary verb, in front of it, it changes the meaning and it changes the form of the verb. So that's what that morpheme does. It's inflectional because of that.
And so, what's the etymology of the word call?
The verb to call comes from Old English, Celian, maybe Kaelian. It meant to call, to shout, which was, I believe, later replaced by the Old Norse word kalla. And I think these original meanings had to do with to ring someone's house or go to someone's house, I believe, to knock on the door was literally to call at the door. I think this was moving into Middle English around that time. So that's semantically.
So, could we just quickly talk about overall the sentence? The context.
It was a good one.
Firstly.
It was a good sentence.
What was the context?
Look, I did hear it from a credible source, okay? And I just wanted to give the world, or give my supporters on Twitter, fair people, hardcore right-wingers like me, like a mutual hate for this guy Barack Obama, who, frankly, I don't approve of, and I don't think anyone should.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
That's a very fair function, I think. We'll give you that. Thanks for listening to Linguistics, Donald. And I'll see you around.
That's alright. Doors that way.
We are gathered here today to mourn the death of this man, whose name we do not know. He died poorly dressed, mauled by a bear. All the faith he had no effect on the outcome of his life, and he died alone.
Let's analyze that sentence.
Mr. Funeral Director, take us through the type of sentence that you just...
Well, I'd say it's a declarative sentence because just stating the obvious, really. All the faith he had no effect on the outcome of his life, and he died alone, isn't anything but a statement.
Okay. Does that make sense? Structurally, what kind of a sentence would you
Because it's got two independent clauses, I'd call it a compound sentence. Joined by a coordinating conjunction. The two clauses being all the faith he had no effect on the outcome of his life.
So that's one.
Yeah, that's one, and the other one is he died alone, joined by and, which is a coordinating conjunction.
Okay, good. So, let's talk a bit about the noun phrase, all the faith he had. Could you tell me a bit about the word class of each lexeme there?
It's all a noun phrase, that part of the whole sentence, it's the noun phrase. You've got faith, and two determinants before it, all and the. All determining the amount of faith, and the being the definite article. You've also got he, a pronoun, and had. The second had being the main verb, and the had before it being an auxiliary to help it function in the sentence.
Yes, okay. So, morphologically, how does this phrase, break down?
Well, all the lexemes are just free morphemes. All the faith he and had, none of them are more than one morpheme combined. Had is the only word that's been conjugated from to have the infinitive into had the past tense.
Yeah, okay. So, Mr. Funeral Director, sir, the last bit of that sentence, he died alone, I believe it is. In terms of etymology, how does that all work?
Well, he comes from the Old English, which is also he, and that's just pronoun of the third person, the masculine pronoun, which is derived from Proto-Indo-European ki. Died comes from the around mid-12th century, possibly from the Old Danish doya or the Old Norse dea, both meaning to die or pass away. Both originating from Proto-Germanic. Both originating from Proto-Germanic doyen, which also means to pass away, die, or become senseless.
Okay.
Alone is from around the it's a contraction from the 1300s. Old English, all and Anna, all just meaning everything, Anna meaning by itself, combining together meaning all by yourself, or all by oneself.
Alone, yeah. Oh, that's great.
I don't know what better way to end the day than etymologically describe a word or two.
That's true.
Or three even.
Just a few more notes here on my sheet. The function of that sentence. What? Or actually, tell me about the context.
Well, I can't tell you about the context.
Yeah, the context of that sentence.
Well, I saw someone found that dead guy in the backyard.
Yeah.
Called me up, gave him a funeral service even though no one was there, buried him.
Yeah.
And it was used in the context since no one knew him. The purpose in that context was to describe how futile his faith was, and that no matter how cool he thought he was and everyone else thought he would still die alone and poorly dressed.
Okay, you lost me for a little bit there.
That's alright.
I found my way back, it's alright. So you direct funerals?
Yeah.
Okay, just check.
Also movies about funerals. Also
that's
direct those.
interesting.
Yeah.
That is. Last thing, I would say the purpose of that sentence, you just addressed it, didn't you?
I did.
Well, I have nothing more to say.
From Old Dutch.
We're filming.
Doya. Oh, okay, I don't know this one.
This is summarise it, mate. Simple, I think. I don't know whatever you want to do. It's your assignment. Ready? Barbecue sauce.
Yeah, let's go. Thanks for coming, Chris.
It's been fun. Thanks for coming, you. Don't thank me. Thank you for coming.
No worries.
It's been nice chatting with you.
Thanks for having me. I'd bury you any day. We manhandled that so well.
Boats and hosts. The old man, the boats, the young kid around. What? The old man, the boats, the young kid around.
Didn't you just say that?
So, Mr. Sailor, can I call you that?
Yes, that's fine.
Alrighty, so your sentence, would you care to tell me the sentence type?
I reckon the sentence type would be declarative. This is because I'm declaring what the old and the young do, which is man the boats and kid around respectively. Simply saying that or declaring it makes it a declarative statement.
Indeed. What would you say the structure of the sentence is?
The sentence structure would be a compound. This is because there's two independent clauses that are linked together by the coordinating conjunction and.
So, Mr. Sailorman, how would you describe the lexemes of your sentence?
Look, there's a few lexemes in my sentence. The old is a noun phrase, and the subject, the being the definite article for old, which is a noun in this case. Man, in this case, is a verb to man, and the boats is another noun phrase, the again being the definite article, and boats being a noun. The coordinated conjunction here is and. Other coordinating conjunctions include for, nor, but, or, yet, and so. The second bit of the sentence is only an SV structure, only a subject and a verb, but still is enough to make it a sentence. The subject here is the young, the again, definitive article, and young here is a noun. We then move on to kid, which is a verb. And around in this sentence is an adverb. Some other adverbs that could be used to quickly, slowly, or wildly, as they all describe how the young kid.
What about the morphemes of said lexemes?
Morphemes, pretty simple sentence. All of the words bar boats and around are free morphemes. They cannot be divided into more morphemes and they can still stand alone. Boats is very simple. It's just made up of the root morpheme boat and the s, which is a very common suffix in the English language to make things plural. Now we move along to around, which is just a combination of the morpheme up and round. All very simple.
Simple indeed. What's some of the etymology of your sentence?
Well, the first clause is quite interesting in etymology. The is a simple definite article from late Old English, the. Old was probably from Old English or Anglican of old, and a little bit of West Saxon, eld, which is aged, or elder, or experienced, which is actually the noun form. Man has been around for a lot longer, but was first recorded in the 1690s as to man a ship, as it is used in this case, which was probably from the Old English manion. And then boat, finally, is Old English for bat, boat, ship or vessel, and a little bit from Proto-Germanic, which would be bait.
Too easy. The function and context of the sentence.
Look, this is a bit of a strange sentence, and the function or context don't really serve much. In terms of this, it's really just to look funny. The words old and young in this sentence are normally adjectives describing something, but in this case are used as the nouns. And man is normally a noun, and kid is normally a noun, but in this case they're both verbs. So really, the sentence is just purely to showcase these factors of English language, where words can be multiple word classes, and a sentence can be interpreted differently depending on how they are read.
Excellent. One last question. Are you at all related to Kamen Rider Black?
Kamen Rider Black?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Not at all.
Oh. Catch you on the flip side, home slice.